Welcome to Hope Academy. My name is Mr. O, and today I'm going to be going over the ACT Online Practice Exam number 4, specifically from the online ACT website. But that being stated, if you want to look at the exam, you could look at the description below to get to the link. Usually when I do these questions, I go over them real quick and explain in depth, and I'll be focusing on 10 through 12. If you want to look at the prior questions, feel free to look in the channel and the playlist. We have all the other questions already solved, and so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So for number 10. A, B, C, D is drawn below. C, E, okay. Point G is the center of this rectangle. Okay. So I see a rectangle here. Okay. How many coordinate units long is AG? Okay, this is 6, so 10, this is 6, this is also going to be, so this will be 6, 0, I see, the coordinates going to be 2 here for certain, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, okay, 9, 0 to 9 over 2, so 81 plus 4 is 85 squared, 85. Okay, so for number 10, my final answer is going to be H, and now I'm going to go ahead and explain to you how I was able to get to this answer. So for this question specifically, my goal, when I looked at this question, I read the question, yes, they do provide me some details, but those weren't as important as just the information that I needed, that how many coordinate units long is AG. That's my goal. And so that means that I needed to find this length of this. The only way I could find the length of that is if I find out the coordinate for G. That's my goal. So nothing else really matters. I don't need to find a measurement of like the size of this quadrilateral or this, like find a length of certain things. And so what I started off was that I saw that B is 6, 4. That means that my point for F, because this is a rectangle, is going to go straight down. It's going to be 6, 0. Because my X doesn't change, but my Y does change. So I'm going up Y. Up and down is going to be Y. Going left and right is going to be my X. And thus 6, 0 was the case. Afterwards, I understood that because G is the center, that means that I need to find basically the center between 6 and 12, because 12 is the cutoff right here. So I need to find the center between 6 and 12, which is going to be 9. And so 9 was going to be my X coordinate for G. I also need to find the center on the Y between 0 and 4, which is 2. And thus, my Y for G is going to be 2. So 9, 2, automatically I thought of in the sense that, oh, I have the coordinates from 9, 2, 2, 0, 0. So that means that this length right here is going to be 9. This length right here was going to be 2. And since this is a right triangle, I use the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, Pythagorean theorem. And Pythagorean theorem works in the equation of a squared plus b squared equals to c squared. And thus, for this question, I knew right off it would be 9 squared plus 2 squared, which is going to be 81 plus 4, which is 85. Afterwards, because 85 equals to c squared, I square rooted it, and thus how I found the answer of H. And that concludes my explanation for number 10. Now I'm going to go ahead and continue on to number 11. So I'm going to move this up so you can see it better. So for number 11, what's the X-Intercept of this graph? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So for number 11, my final answer is going to be E. For this question, just be aware that there are other terms that do exist, not just X-Intercept, but you might have heard terms that also apply or are similar to the X-Intercept is the term zeros and the term roots. They're all the same meaning, which is just the X-intercept of the graph. And thus, the only way you can find the X-intercept is by factoring or solving by making y equals to 0. And so that's what I did. I made basically x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals to 0. But that's not the important thing per se that you need to know. There's another piece you also need to know, and it's factoring. Okay, and you could factor this out by using different methods. So there's like the box method, there's the diamond method if you're more familiar with the Common Core way. There's also just the foiling method, which is the older way before it's the pre-Common Core method. I do have videos on these concepts if you have trouble remembering or need a refresher. But that being stated, when I already knew, because I've practiced a lot on factoring, that this was going to become x minus 2 squared equals to 0, which means that it's technically x minus 2 equals to 0, and I can make each part equal to 0. So x minus 2 equals to 0, solve for it, so plus 2, so x equals to 2, and thus how for number 11 my final answer is going to be E. And that concludes my explanation for number 11. I'm going to go ahead and continue on to number 12, but before doing so, I do need to set up a little bit. So for number 12, so I'm going to move this down here. Okay, so for number 12, okay, which apply? Okay, this T, they want T, yeah. Okay, so 2x, right? Yeah, 2x. Yes, that's whatever. 3py. Okay, so for number 12, my final answer is going to be J, 3py over 2x. So for this question, the thing or the concept you do need to know mainly is the cross, sort of like what people say cross multiplication. I might have heard of other terms, but the most common one I heard cross multiplication. I've heard some students say like the butterfly method. That's fine too. There's just a lot of different names for this method. But that being stated, in order to do this method, the idea is that I could cross multiply, move all that cross multiply portion to one side and the other part to the other side. And I'm going to show you what I mean by this. So basically I do is first thing first. My question states this, and I'm going to do it in Sharpie so you can see it very clearly. So when you're doing cross multiplication for these type of questions, the idea is that I'm going to take this part, multiply them together, and take care of that portion. And I'm also going to cross multiply right here and take care of that portion for that particular thing too. So that means that in the pink, I basically multiply 2t by x, so it'll be 2tx. And I'm going to make it equal to, and I'm going to do that in black so you could see it clearly. And I'm going to multiply the blue part, so 3py. But you have to remember that the end goal is to isolate t because they want you to solve this for t. And so what I simply did afterwards was that I divided by 2x on both sides because that's the only way I could isolate t. And thus how in the end, these twos cancel out, the x cancels out, 3py over 2x is going to be my leftover answer, and thus how I got my answer of J. And that concludes my explanations for exam 4 from the ACT website. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, so that we could continue to make content like this. I hope you have a wonderful day.